Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And having the conversation. And today we have Monika Merriman. And what I really pleased about it is, because I've been one of the students from this studio, Golden Yogi, and I really love it. All the teachers, they're just wonderful. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm currently the caretaker of Golden Yogi and the holder of this space in this beautiful container. I'm grateful that I was in a position to step in and keep this space alive for the community and going. I think these places within our society are invaluable. Places to practice, to hold circles, to hold ceremonies, to come together as a community and have that healing and have that connection.
Before the recording, you share with me your previous job were. Would you like to share that just briefly about how it come to?
Yeah. I initially was working in marine science and teaching and lecturing in that space for 17 years and doing research and teaching at the university here in Auckland. And I loved that job. I would have continued teaching forever, but the powers that be decided to close the STEM sciences. Roughly over 200 staff members redundant. And in that redundancy, I was able to take my payout and purchase another studio, another location. And so I was very grateful that this opportunity was kind of divinely placed in front of me.
And what made you decide to be a yogi? If I just looking at it, you're teaching science and yoga, people wouldn't put two to two together. And
I've always kind of been a bridge between the two modalities in life, the spiritual aspect as well as the tangible scientific. And kind of sat within both spectrums and operated in them. Like for me, when I was younger, my psychic gifts were very potent. And from as early as I can remember, I used to say that the wind spoke to me. And then as I kind of got older, I would have visions and premonitions that would happen repeatedly. And then as I kind of got a little bit older, had lots of different things unfold within my life. When I was 18, though, I kind of stumbled into a yoga class at university, and that was it. I loved the movement. I loved the connection. I loved the wisdom from my own kind of physical form. And then I shortly after met a shaman who kind of took me under their wing and taught me a lot of energetic practices as well as grounding, and really kind of opened me up to what ancestral knowledge is available to us and within us and around us. Everything is speaking to you in some form. And everything is connected because everything is energy. Which, when you kind of look at life from everything is energy and everything is connected perspective, because energy can't be created or destroyed, it's just simply transformed. And then the scientific kind of background that I have and weaving that in just blends beautifully. So a lot of the workshops that I hold and the space that I carry is kind of bridging the two, bridging the science perspective and what is actually happening within your physical form, as well as the spiritual essence of it.
I didn't tell many people, but I'm very spiritual, even though I'm not necessarily religious. But like you, I feel energy. Sometimes I have things that happen to me. It's almost like a sign, and I don't really tell people because it's really hard to share that kind of information with people unless I feel it's safe as well. So thank you so much for sharing it with me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you should come to my circles, because when we hold ceremony and we sit in circle, there's always a sharing. And so you can dive into what came up for you, what you experienced, and have that space to speak freely and share your truth.
I would love it. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Amazing.
I try to do that as well.
I think you must be gifted, able to learn things fast for many spaces at once that not many people probably able to, and then turning to manifestation.
Well, I am a manifestor generator, but I do know that one of the things I've found through this journey and through my practice is that I'm very mindful of my thoughts. And so the things that I want to draw in more of, I try to feed my intentions into those. And anytime I have kind of thoughts of things that I don't want or negative thoughts, because we're all human, we have those. I try to like magically erase them and not let them flow out, because I only want what is best for my highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of all to come through and to shine forward, because that's what life should be about.
So what inspires you though? I'm holding two very polarized views. One is science, one is spiritual. Like people not necessarily able to agree sometimes. Even holding that two spaces, that must be quite a skill as well to negotiate between science and spiritual.
Well, I think the foundations in science are having tangible proof. But for me, with my spiritual journey, I always had that proof. It always came through. And so I can feel things in my own physical form, like energy. I'm very sensitive to other people's emotions and sensations and feelings.
Yeah.
And when I can feel that in my own energetic field, it's proof to me. And I've always just kind of been very in touch with those abilities in terms of clairsentience and clairvoyance, the gift of knowing, where the words that sometimes come through are not my words. They're from a higher power, they're from a higher self. And just trying to keep that channel clear so that what I do communicate is for everyone's greatest good, and letting that light and love and energy kind of flow through me and holding that space. And so for me, I've always kind of been that bridge. And so it's effortless.
Wow.
So it's not been... It's not been challenging. It has had moments where when your light shines bright, sometimes you can attract things that you may not want to attract. And finding the power and the strength within your own physical being, your own energetic being, and protecting yourself. Those techniques and tools, we need to, share with others and bring more of into the world so people feel grounded, feel at ease, and only let light in.
By having this space, what that means to you from personal?
Having the space. So this space existed before me, and it will exist after me. I am just grateful and blessed that I'm in a position to hold this open for the community. It was kind of divinely placed in my lap. It was beautiful how the transition unfolded. And I literally felt like kind of golden light like funneling into my chest. And it's one of those moments where you're kind of on the precipice of, you can feel that energy build, and you're like, this has to be done. This is, my soul is calling me forward to step into this. And that is what I felt in that moment.
Wow.
And it was the same sensation I had in my kind of early 20s when I was called into marine science. And the marine science led me to New Zealand. And so it kind of all put me on this trajectory of being in the right space in the right time and following the guidance, stepping forward into that space and into those opportunities.
Where are you from originally? Sorry, I should have asked, because I was thinking about asking you that question, so then I forget.
Originally, I'm from Oklahoma. And there's a lot of Native American influence in some of the things that I do in my shamanic practices, coming from that place and having a little Native American in me as well. I'm a blend of things, though. So my family comes from, my father's side has German heritage and English heritage. My mother has Irish, Scottish, and British as well, and Native American. A blend of a lot of lineages of ancestral line. For me personally, that closeness and that draw to so many ancient cultures and societies, because I feel those kind of threads of past life experiences come through.
If you don't mind me asking, when you realize that you have that gift, how were your family supported?
Not so much. My family, I was kind of always the black sheep. I always went off and did my own thing, forged my own path. They're very religious people because, they come from Oklahoma. And I would say that I find religion just another form of spirituality. I think that the patterns and the influences that both bring forward, if held in true intention, have the same message and the same meaning. It's just that people receive them differently based on their belief system. I think that inevitably, the light reaches all of us. It's just through different paths and trajectories to guide us there.
in the end of the day, it is about loving others as much as you love yourself and sharing the humanity, telling the truth. It's not as complicated as how we have make it into. And to be honest, when we start talking, kind of not sure which direction it will go, I felt really honored because I'm very spiritual, but I not having the space sometimes to share with people. I only met some people that I felt like I can share.
I find it fascinating because I always tell people, what you give out, you receive. You receive back so much more. It magnifies as it comes back to you. And if you continually give out love and light and that kind of gratitude and giving nature, then it's going to come back to you in so many ways. And that's kind of all I can ask for. And that's hopefully what people feel when they step into this space.
People who come through here are very genuine, the teachers and all that. What that means to you, even holding this space for the communities, especially in Takapuna. Yeah.
Being in the heart of a city and being close to the beach, I love that. And being able to provide that space that people can come. They can heal, they can strengthen their bodies, they can strengthen their mind, they can strengthen their spirit. And if they're needing, that reset or that surrender, that's welcome as well. Like everything is welcome. And being able to hold community events and sound journeys, all of those things kind of have always called to my soul, and being able to provide that space in the middle of a city center where you kind of can step away from the busyness, step away from, the stress and the chaos of everyday life, and just step into a container and find peace and serenity and ease and leave just a little more settled, a little more happy, a little more expanded. That's why I kind of stepped into that role and into that light to help guide this and bring that forward for everyone, and just making it available.
That's why I left the comments on the Google, because our daily life is so busy. Even I go home, have my own space, but to have a space where I can surrender myself, regroup myself, having like-minded people doing the same thing. Here, everybody kind of with the same purpose. And that's what I love about it. It's not just a yoga studio, because you offer a lot more than that. You offer
sound journeys.
Sound journey.
The gong bath.
Yeah.
We have so many workshops of different modalities.
Yes.
We're putting together a yin and acupuncture workshop with an acupuncturist. Yeah, there's always so many kind of workshops. The mother yoga, the pregnancy and prenatal and postnatal. We have the mums and bubs yoga, which is such a beautiful practice. They bring in their little ones and they get that time to kind of bond with them, to share with other women in the same journey, in that same space, and find a little bit of time for themselves while being able to still, connect and entertain their little ones, and just being able to move and to strengthen their bodies again. And form that community. It's really important.
And what I like about also is the professionalism and the expertise from different yoga teachers that they bring to the classes, because everybody has their own flavor, but yet you're learning so much from each of them, even though they might do different things, but yet as someone who come here and learn, it's just so beneficial, because you not just learn from one person, and everybody teach a little bit different things, and then I learn all of them. That is just amazing. And another thing, the pricing is so affordable.
I try to make it accessible to all those who need it, and especially in winter right now, where we're not at full capacity. There's so much space. I actually put a flyer out to the community for people's mental health, offering them a free class if they've got the winter blues and they want to just find some space for themselves and connect to others. And I've been putting little signs around town to expand that offering and that sense of giving and gratitude. And it's one tiny thing that I can do to maybe help someone or bring somebody just that little bit of sense of joy. Let their light kind of ignite a little and shine. We do try to keep our offerings as affordable as we can, while still supporting our overheads as a studio. And the staff that I have, again, I have very highly skilled and qualified, and the diversity that I bring in. It isn't just one flavor and one form of yoga that fits all. It's a range of different classes, of different modalities, of different instructors who bring, as you said, their own essence and their own heart into their practice. And I think that as a student of yoga, the more experience you have of different styles, of different forms, of different instructors, one, you kind of find your path, you find what resonates with you the most, but you also increase your knowledge base and expand and see that there is more than just one form or one instructor. I had lots of beautiful yogis in my time who influenced me, and I'm just happy that I can offer a space that kind of cultivates that same direction.
I agree. They're not just here to teach. They are well prepared. They thought about the sequences, the music. This is art. This is not just yoga. And they also help us to challenge a little bit enough, but not over challenge ourselves. I love it. I was so pleased to find this space. I genuinely appreciate someone make such an effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It means so much to people like myself. I have a lot of challenges with depression and anxiety and all that. So having people creating that soul connection, humanity, I need to have that right energy, I need to feel that it's a community, and then I can bring myself forward to a space where I feel safe.
Yay. That's exactly why I'm here and why I'm doing it.
Thank you, I'm so lucky. How long have you been practicing yoga?
I have been practicing yoga for almost 30 years, just shy of 3 decades.
Well, I just want to say there is an evidence of yoga keep people look young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know many people who practice yoga.
I began my yoga journey almost 30 years ago with my first class that I stepped into. And then from there, I was always called to it. I just always loved it. I definitely always weaved that into my life and my own personal practice. And then when I fell pregnant with my daughter, I decided to do my teacher training course before my maternity leave. I actually started my teacher training course while I was pregnant. And that was a beautiful kind of learning and integration, because when I was doing my teacher training, I was kind of the guinea pig for the pregnancy form of yoga for everyone. So everyone learned what they can and can't do with a pregnant body, because I was the pregnant one in class. So that was really beautiful.
It must be really amazing to be the first to learn what kind of pose or positions that is appropriate.
So my training was quite special in that way.
Yeah.
I also did my teacher training, almost 12 years ago, when teacher trainings were all in person and for extended periods of time, which I think is valuable. And it makes the difference in teaching. I was in that world of yoga practitioners that still did adjustments and came around and kind of nurtured their clients with a more hands-on approach. And some of the gurus that I learned from, would support somebody and spot somebody and help them verbally cue them into alignment, but also if they needed that little bit of extra help and support, guide them there. I loved that type of practice. A lot of studios and a lot of places have shied away from that. I still think there's a place for it. I think a lot of mainstream places have kind of changed from that because of COVID and various things. Right. But I think people want human touch and connection, and they want to step into a space where they feel safe.
Absolutely.
And they feel that they're, being guided by somebody who has experience and has that knowledge base.
Yeah. I would agree, because the instructor will say, you remember these are very active poses, so you're not just like flocks. You need to actively engage your core. I realized this 1 hour can make me sweat. I didn't know I sweat so much. It's credited to the instructor who guide through and remind us these are supposed to be engaged with your core muscle. Small micro adjustments, it felt such a big difference.
When I started my teacher training, it was back at a time where there was still a lot of that, a lot of that physical adjustment. Always consent first. And then when I had my daughter, I was actually teaching at a studio, and I would feed her, place her in her capsule before my class, and then the ladies would all come in, I would teach my class, and at the end of Shavasana, when they were all waking, she would wake my daughter, and then she'd be, happy to play with everyone.
Oh, wow.
And it was just such a beautiful time. And so I think, for me, I've always kind of been in the spiritual world, in that yogic practice, as well as the scientific. And just kind of, weaving connection between the two. And so I'm glad that I get to step more fully into my, I would say, creative side, my feminine side, my spiritual side. Again, with the breathwork classes that I do, I bring in the science behind it. And
which is very important, scientifically proven, that help to slow down our thinking, our body. But again, like it was known for years by our ancestors, not until it was being proven and then start to become something that everybody want to catch up with. But as a matter of fact, it's with us, isn't it? I have to say another thing about being truthful to yourself. That's what I really want to honor you. I think people think it's easy to be yourself. Actually, being truthfully of who you are take a lot of courage, because it should be easier to look certain way, function certain way, as society expect how we were, to really stepping out and say, this is who I am. And then also just naming it and honor it, that take courage.
It does, and listening to your intuition takes courage, and connecting with that and listening to that guidance. And the more you do it, the more it strengthens. And I think the more we become more in touch with ourselves, nature, the world around us, and that's really what life is all about. And when people can tap into that, then it really alleviates that.
Let's say someone was gifted and younger, and why I'm feeling this, why I'm seeing this, am I crazy?
When I was little, I had so many things happen. I knew I wasn't crazy because I would dream something, and then 2 weeks later, I would watch it unfold in front of me. Like I would see it play out. It was kind of first waking up to that awareness of what I dreamt the other night is now in front of me.
Yeah.
And people that I had never met, I'm seeing for the first time, listening to the same conversation that I heard in my dream and going, why is this happening? Yeah. You know, just kind of noticing it, questioning it, asking my mom about it eventually, and getting kind of a weird reply. She told me, once I smelled roses when my grandmother died. And I was like, okay, that's not helping with what I'm going through. And my mom was like, oh, just don't worry about it. And so for a long time, I kind of just ignored it a little bit. As I became older and started stepping more into that awareness, more things were happening where I needed more information. And so I kind of sought out different teachings, different things. One night I was leaving work and it was pouring down with rain, and this elderly gentleman who worked at the same place that I had was about to ride his bike home in the rain, and I said, oh no, you're definitely not doing that. I said, please put your bike in the boot of my car and I'll drive you home. And then I drove him to his house, and he invited me in so I drove him to his house where he invited me in to meet his roommate, to meet his flatmate. And I walked in, and the minute I stepped into the house, she said, when the teacher is ready, the student arrives.
Wow.
And I was like, what? From that moment on, I had my first lessons in shamanic practices and being able to ground my energy, protect my energy, clear bad energies. There's lots of things that you can actually do in your physical body and your energetic body. And then from there, throughout my journey, whenever I did my Reiki training, I got to work with a beautiful Reiki master who taught me so much. And I did both my levels with her, so just kind of weaving that energy in. And sometimes when I do adjustments in class, especially, in child pose, I'll do a little bit of Reiki as we, lengthen the spine and find more movement and find more ease. Just, sharing those gifts and love is kind of what life is meant to be about.
I just want to say, I don't know what to say to you, Monika. I am so honored to find this space, so honored to talk to you and learn from you, and how honest you have been about your gifts. I mean, a lot of people don't necessarily open up about their spiritual journey, including me. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing it, because it means so much to me.
Thank you.